level up. God level, you can tell him I said it. Level up, level up, level up, yo. Everything, that means everything. Eyes connected to everything, and that's why I'm in everything. All eyes on me, all eyes on everything. That means everything. Eyes connected to everything.
Welcome to Things That People Don't Want to Talk About on the God Level Podcast. Let's give it a few minutes, let some folks slide on in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you brothers?
Yeah, feeling great, feeling good. Feeling great, feeling good. Well, no, that's a lie. That's a lie, because I am still fatigued. But I got the facade of feeling great and feeling good. So we're going to fake it till we make it.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
We're going to fake it till we make it.
Sending your representative. Okay. Brother Lee, how you feeling over there?
Hey, man, I'm living a dream, bro. I have no complaints. It's too many things going on that ain't got nothing to do with me for me to complain about that do got to do with me. So I'm blessed, bro.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. What you was finna say, Skywalker?
Oh, shoot, I done forgot. But
okay. Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all golden. All right, so let's go ahead and chop into this tonight. Oh, well, first off, let's get these introductions out the way. This is John Skywalker, the Sly Talker. I'm a lyricist, spoken word artist, martial artist, personal trainer, lover of life, student of psychology, and I'm a father who has 5 hip-hop albums streaming on all music streaming platforms now. Look up John Skywalker. Look up John Skywalker. Look up John Skywalker if you like, I don't know, Common, Papoose, Lupe Fiasco, Sky Zoo. If you like those kind of artists, I'm your guy. Positive, conscious, uplifting, motivational, salute. And King Newborn, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Peace. It's King Newborn. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Newborn Everything. And as always, I am that I am, here to service the community, family, and friends. Peace.
Yes, sir. Bless up. And then we got Mike Lee. Mike Lee is a regular on our show. Mike Lee, go ahead and introduce yourself, bro.
What's going on, family? Y'all know me. I'm Mike Lee. I've been rocking with y'all for a minute now, just because association is such a big thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are going to be the people that you're around the most, and I always try to keep positive people around me. I am a subject matter expert when it comes to this thing called money and finance. And if you want me to dive right in, I'll dive in, brother.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it.
Let's get it.
All right, first things first, I'm gonna give myself a shameless plug. Follow on Facebook or Instagram, 501c8 Impact Initiative. 501c8 Impact Initiative. This is extremely important. I'm gonna tell y'all why it's important. Did you know that there are not-for-profit life insurance companies out there that's more affordable than the life insurance policy that you probably already have? Or if you don't have insurance, did you know that all people are going to die one day? Okay, you included. I'm not going to beat that horse. Second thing, the second reason why it's extremely important is because people don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And it is our responsibility, once we have learned some information, to be a river and not a dam. What do I mean by that? Information should flow through you and not just to you. It's too many times in our communities where we get prevalent information, but we hold on to it. This is prevalent information. We need to be able to teach our friends and family members how to access things like scholarship money. They give away over 300 scholarships every year. So if you're one of those people who got kids or grandkids and they want to go to school, you don't have to compete with every single kid that's Googling scholarships 2025. There's another pocket of money that you can be accessing. They have grant money. So for those of you guys that are active in the community, so like doing things, book bag drives, coat drives, feeding the homeless, Toys for Tots. You don't have to take the money out of your own pocket. There are billion-dollar companies that will do it for you. $2,000 twice a year, right? If you're older, if you're more tenured and you need to get your will written, you can get it written for free. If you have diabetes, you can get diabetic medication sent to you for free, right? If you are an educator or you want to learn some things, there's over 200 online courses that you can access. It's called resources. So I want to bring these resources to you guys, to your families, to your friends. So it's imperative that you get on this horn. 501c8 Impact Initiative on Facebook, and 501, the letter C, 8S, 501c8s on Instagram. All right. So that's my shameless plug. I'm going to take 3 more minutes and give y'all some game. Most people, when they think about life insurance, they think of, well, I want to take care of my funeral and burial, right? And I want to take care of, I want to leave a legacy, generational wealth, right? 2 things. There's actually 5 different reasons why people get life insurance. Number 1 is death. We use the acronym DIMES. I'm going to drop some dimes on y'all real quick. All right. D stands for death or final expense. It costs about $15,000 to die nowadays, and most people don't want to leave that stank taste in their family's mouth. I remember every wedding. I remember every funeral that I contributed to. I just do. Not on purpose. I just do. The I stands for income replacement. If I pass away, my income passes away. If you pass away, your income passes away. That is a significant hit on the people that depend on your income. So if you have a family, if you have children, and you're a working man, you're a working woman, you pass away, that $50,000, $60,000, $30,000, $100,000, whatever it is now gone. That is a significant lifestyle change for your family. People get life insurance for income replacement. The M stands for mortgage protection. We do the right thing. We go out, we get this credit up, we go out, we buy a house, we try to make it do what it do for the family. But a lot of the times we don't protect that investment. So what happens is when we pass away, again, our income passes away. So if your family can't afford $1,500 without you, they can't afford $1,500 without you. What some people will do is they'll get what's called mortgage protection, which is life insurance based around the amount of the mortgage. So if you got a $250,000 home, you might get $250,000 worth of coverage for 30 years to cover that 30-year loan, right? So if anything happens to me while this loan is active, the house is paid off for the family. You might cover half, you might cover 12 months. You know, this is $1,500 a month times 12 months. Let me get $18,000 worth of coverage. So if I pass away, my family doesn't have to leave the funeral and start making family decisions. The E stands for endowments. That simply means generational wealth, giving money to the family, to the youth, to the charities that you're involved in. And then the S stands for savings and retirement. Savings and retirement. What that means is when you get older, you turn 60 years old, either you're working or not, you don't have to lose any of that 401k money. So a lot of people don't like losing money. I don't like losing money, and I don't have a license to lose you money. So if you have a financial advisor, I love them. I have one myself, but there are ways to make sure your money is completely protected. Okay. If you're younger, maybe you want to build some income, but you don't want it to be affected by the ups and downs of the market, right? Maybe you want to be able to access it before age 59 and a half without a penalty. You could actually get a life insurance product, right? So I just wanted to drop that game. I appreciate you guys. This is not the most sexy conversation. It never is, you know. However, if we can have this conversation and have it at a high level 1 or 2 times, you know your family is straight. Again, be a river, not a dam. Follow 501c8 Impact Initiatives. I appreciate y'all.
Oh man, that is what's up. That is what's up. And let me put that up there one more time for y'all. Follow the 501c8 Impact Initiative on Facebook. I just went on search, typed that in, and the results pop up. So took like just less than 5 seconds for me to do that, y'all. So go ahead and do that. Follow, plug in. This is Mike Lee. We got King Newborn, John Skywalker in his house, and we are talking about controlling or coercion versus motivation, being motivating. Are you the controlling type or the motivating type? So before I get started, Mike, you rocking with us, or you going,
I'm rocking, bro. Let's rock. I'm digging
it. Okay, cool.
Yes,
cool,
sir.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's go ahead and just kind of, lay the foundation here. What does it mean to be motivational? When you think about someone that's motivational in terms of parenting style, or, in terms of romance, being a brother, sister, what do you think of when it comes to being motivational?
Who want to start? Y'all want me to jump out there?
Shoot, you can.
Go ahead. Yeah, do your thing. Yeah.
I'll jump. So when I think of motivation, first thing I think of is intent.
Okay.
Right. Because we have to master the art of looking at people's intent and not their actions. It's very difficult. Very, very difficult. But sometimes, and I'm going on a small tangent, but sometimes your spouse says something that hurts you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at their actions, it's a lot more painful than if you actually look at their intent, right? So first thing that I want to say is when I'm looking at motivation, I'm looking at the intent of the motivator. Not all kids, not all people are motivated the exact same way, but if the intent is there, then that's the biggest thing. Now, where the skill comes in is how do I motivate people? So brand new motivators are going to yell, maybe, or maybe they're passive, right? Whatever that might look like, they may not have the skill set necessary to be able to motivate everybody, but because they have the proper intent, we should give them a pass. They got to grow. We all got to grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. So it's
I like that.
all right. There's some skill sets involved, so it's about developing that tendency to motivate others. All right. You want to take a shot at King, or should I go ahead and?
Oh, you can go ahead. I kind of agree with Mike.
Okay. So when I think of being motivational, I think of being encouraging. I think of being inspiring, and all of this pretty much aligns with action. The goal being to reinforce positively, of course, support and guide individuals to reach their full potential, or to, reach their vision, reach their goals. It's about boosting individual self-confidence, their self-efficacy, and that's a fancy word of saying, one's awareness and ability to accomplish things. Like, I'm effective in getting things done. So that's self-efficacy, right? And then I also think of fostering a sense of purpose and determination. I think that's very important when it comes to motivation. Is, what are you trying to do? What is your purpose? All right, you're determined, as in you're focused, you're willing to get this done, to do this. And so as a motivator, when I'm motivational, I am telling you, you can do it. I'm your cheerleader, I'm your coach. I'm showing you the way. I'm saying, hey, don't go here, but go here. I'm helping you, explore different options, different perspectives, but it's about you. It's not about me. All right. So when I think of being motivational, I think it's bigger than the individual. It's about aligning activities with vision or goals, or both, with desire and intent. King?
Yeah. I like that. No, I like that.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right, cool.
I definitely agree with that.
All right. Anything to add before I move on to the next one?
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say he hit it right on the head.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's do it like this. What does it mean to be coercive? When you think about coercion, what do you think of?
Intent.
Okay. Still, there's the intent.
You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of us grew up certain ways, and we had people around us. Like, we're always going to be a product of our environment, right? That's why it's imperative for our environments to change, you know. But when I think of coercion, like, it all comes down to the person's intent. Can you guys still see me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is my audio still coming in?
Yep.
Okay. I can't see you guys. Give me 1 second.
Oh.
Okay. I think I'm back. I can see you now.
Okay.
So true story. Both of my parents were military. My dad was a master sergeant in the Army. Right? So that's why the intent thing is so poignant for me, because my dad barked. He was a master sergeant in the Army. People that would overlook him speaking to myself and my brother may take it as something that's threatening, something that's aggressive, but that's how he communicated. There was always love there. So when I think of coercion, I think of someone that is trying to manipulate, someone that is trying to threaten, someone that is really, acting through force. There's creating pressure. That's more so coercion for me, and there's a lot of intent that comes behind it. So it all comes back to the intent of the people that is communicating.
All right. Anything to add, King?
Yeah, I was gonna say that same part, that last part that Brother Lee said. That force, that trying to manipulate just a little bit, almost a mind game at times, but it's still the intent behind all of it. You know what I'm saying? As long as it's not malicious or you're trying to cause hurt or harm, then yeah, you can coerce somebody to do something that they probably didn't even think they could do themselves. You know what I'm saying? So if you got the right intent in mind, I mean, and it's always for the greater good. If you ain't doing it just for your personal gain, you actually doing it so you can actually see somebody push past their own limits. Oh man, that's a rewarding feeling. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'm pretty much on the same flight as you guys. When I think about coercive tactics, coercion, I think about control, I think about intimidation, I think about fear, I think about punishment. Punishment comes to mind. Force, threats, manipulation. It seems like the intent, well, you know what? So I think the intention isn't so strict, right? But coercion is just like an approach. It's more like a tactic, right? It's more of an energy. It's an attitude. And it typically disregards an individual's autonomy, their ability to be determined. And it can lead, I think it can also lead to, depending on the situation, I think it can lead to resentment, maybe even resistance, dare I say, maybe even resistance. Yeah. So let's keep it moving.
Real quick, I just want to say,
most
trainers, yeah. They gotta whip you into shape, right? Talk a little crazy to you, put a little fire up on you.
Yeah. But you know what? There is something to that, right? So you're being overwhelmed with all this intimidation, like when it comes to, and certain coaches do that. So you have coaches that are like drill sergeants, and then you have coaches that are more like how I am. I don't like to use coercion when it comes to training, right? But that's where I am now, because psychology, I'm like, oh, okay, there's motivation. All right, that's what a coach does. A coach can motivate, right? But then there's different forms of motivation, right? But strictly related to that military mindset, that militant mindset, those coaches that are, hoorah, right? Their coercion is very deliberate. And they're trying to put it on you with the intent of you adapting to it. So there's a large risk there, because the trainee, whoever's on the receiving end, may not be strong enough to take that level of toleration. It's, I'm trying to control you, right? But you're not allowed to resist. But if you're the coach and you're deploying these coercive tactics with the aim, with the goal of conditioning this individual to respond or react or just be a certain way, right? It comes with risk. Like, you're putting all this negative energy all into this person's mind, and you're hoping that you're going to produce somebody that's sane, healthy-minded, but you just intimidated them for 8 weeks, 6 months, training them, right? So there are trainers that are coercive, and then there are those that are motivating. And some may even say that, they do both, right? They can, switch between the two. So yeah, but I guess that goes to say that coercion has an effect. It works, maybe.
Situation to situation.
Okay, it's situational. All right.
Yeah.
So
it works. Yeah, I think it definitely works. Think about our common hoods and what happens there. The children that's raised through those. Again, it goes back to the environment. And I mean, you're gonna have outliers in everything. You're gonna have leaders in everything. And based on those skill sets, people can do good and people can do bad, but it's still going to work,
Okay. But the question, so pertaining to that, right? So how long does it work? Do the effects last long, or is it more of a short-term type of ordeal?
I think the effects last based on how long they're stuck in that environment.
Oh, snap.
I think the environment is the most important thing when it comes to any form of change, because there are people that have been in such a situation. Like, people live to be 20 years old, but it just takes them 60 more years to die because they're stuck in the exact same mentality, environment, thought process that they've always been in. So you think about some of the people that you grew up around that never quite grew up. It's more so their environment, not necessarily them. It's the comfort, right? So once people have the ability to see outside of their environment and see other things, now they can see, wait, this ain't adding up. What's happening here? But I think that the environment is the most important aspect.
Wow. Okay.
I like that.
All right. Environment. All right. So let's transition over into the source. Does coercion or control stem from a place of fear / insecurity?
Yes. I'm gonna go with yes.
Yeah.
Think about it like this. What our parents teach us becomes our inner voice, right? Right. So that's our litmus test. This is right, this is wrong, because that's what I've known. And if you grow up in an environment of fear, right? If you grow up in an environment around insecure people, and you see what works in those situations, because something new works. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. A lot of the times people are being molded into these people, not on purpose, but again, based on their environment. And yes, it is fear and it is insecurity, but it's generational curses a lot of the times. Somebody said, however, you don't have to be a product of the environment if it's negative. I agree. I 100% agree. I am one of those people who grew up in an environment that wasn't great, but the easiest way to catch a cold is to get around people that have a cold.
Conformity.
right? The easiest way to
Conformity.
catch a flu, the easiest way to get sick is to get around people that's sick. So when you're around a whole bunch of sick people, it is possible to not get sick, you know.
Woo.
However,
But
it's a lot easier to not be sick when you're in an environment where nobody else is sick. You know, that's the struggle that we grow up with, is we're doing our best. All of us trying to get out of our generational curses, all of the stuff that we've been going through, and we have the wherewithal to actually do it and pursue it. But getting out of that environment is a shortcut to being able to do those things.
having a poor mindset, yeah, that could be contagious.
Okay. Well, you know, when I think about this question, does coercion stem from a place of fear, security? I tend to agree, but there are exceptions here, right? So I say yes because I think about like, let's just say, for example, the fear of losing something, right? If I am afraid of losing this individual or losing this property, or shoot, even just my child getting harmed, right? I could take a very motivational approach, but what that does is it undermines the severity of the situation. So there's usually like some sort of, I don't know, maybe some threatening nature. You know, there's a suspicion that, okay, if I allow you to do this, you're going to hurt yourself. And I don't want that to happen. In fact, my response to that potential reality is fear. And so I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want this to happen to you. I don't want to hang out. I don't want you to hang out with these boys. I don't want you to hang out with these girls because I'm afraid this is going to happen. So what do I do to express that fear? By imposing it on you. Now, I will say there are some caveats here, right? It could be an insecurity, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think it's bad to have insecurities. We're in a culture where it's like you can't even have an insecurity, even though it's a very natural and human thing to have, right? Mm-hmm. But we're not celebrating insecurities. We're just acknowledging that we have them with the intent of working on them, resolving them. But in that process, yeah, I got my wife over here and I don't want her hanging out with these types of women because I'm afraid that she might end up becoming like them and infecting our marriage. So let me try to manipulate her out that situation, right? Because that's my way of expressing that, yo, this is very severe. It's very, very intense. What you think though, King? Coercion, control, fear, insecurity?
I'm gonna say still situational to me. But yes, I guess I look at it like, you just being tactful, depending on what your goal is and what you're trying to get done, whether it's being a parent, being a friend, being a son, a cousin, or a lover. You're in a relationship, and like you just said, hey Queen, babe, I don't really like you hanging with her. She ain't right upstairs. If you keep hanging with her, hey, I might have to, might have to pack my bags, or sleep downstairs. You never know. Mm-hmm. So, but even with all of that, you'll still find yourself somewhat trying to control the environment so it could be conducive to what you're trying to achieve. Now, on the other hand, maybe you might be using these tactics to keep that person out of harm's way because you've been down that road before. Like Mike Lee said, the fear of something happening to you that I can't control or I can't myself endure for you. So I'm trying to coerce you or talk you out of it, or show you, hey, look, if you go over there, you might get killed. You stay from over there. Mm-hmm. So, like I said,
it goes back to intent, right? Yeah. So coercion, so it's justified by the outcome and the intent. My intention is to create a sense of safety. My intention is to create a sense of security. And so, or shoot, even just a sense of predictability, because I love systems. I like systems same way that I like this laptop. It's a system, right? And it can be controlled, it can be manipulated, right, to produce a certain result. So not all forms of control, not all forms of coercion can be inherently bad when you look at the outcome. Now, it's not to say that you ain't gonna have, some side effects. I think you'll have some side effects when it comes to, some manipulation, some coercion, some unintended side effects, rather. Things that you probably didn't foresee. But okay. So
yeah, I agree. It's like correlation doesn't equal causation. So just because something correlates doesn't mean that that's necessarily the cause of it. So sure, the end route is me saying, listen, you don't need to be doing that. And sure, my voice is raised because I'm serious about the subject matter. That correlation doesn't mean the cause is coercion. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So correlation doesn't equal causation. It's kind of like if I kick the ball into the street and a car comes by and hit the ball, that doesn't mean that every time I kick the ball in the street, a car is going to come by and hit the ball. The correlation isn't the cause of the car hitting the ball. That was the cause. It's two separate things. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it all goes, like we said, it all goes back to the intent. My intent, to my 5-year-old, hey, get out the street. Right? That might have sounded intense. It might have been, it might have been some gumption behind those statements. However, it was still not coercion. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah, it sounded harsh, but the passion of, hey, I don't want my son to get hit. Boy, get your ass out the street,
Get your ass out the street.
All right, so coercive language can be beneficial, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, let's talk about it. Are there situations that coercive language is necessary / beneficial? So we could talk about shoot. Well, you know what? Let's just keep it in the scope of, the brothers, the men, right? We have these voices, right? And we can project a lot more, right? We can project a lot more. I was just looking at some videos the other day. It was one of those prank videos where the kids were talking back to their moms, and you see all the dads kind of, what? Right? But you see, so it really doesn't matter what your race is, okay? A father creates these boundaries. It's like, hey, I like a sense of security, safety, and respect. You violate that, I'm jumping out, right? But these are kids. These are your kids doing this. And so we jump. Like it's a reaction, right? We jump like, what did you say? And then we go barking, right? But that's automatic. It's not like hold on. Let me think about how I'm going.
No,
we ain't got no time. It's already in there.
Yeah.
Right. So we're gonna get up, we're gonna cuss the kids out, and really not even think about it probably until a little bit later, right? But in those situations where, and I know it's a prank, but in those situations where there's disrespect detected, can coercion be useful, necessary in those situations?
Like a talk down point? Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Now it's two schools of thought, right?
Okay.
It's tricky. It's a tricky question. It's a really good question. But I think so. Okay, because I'm coercive when I tell my son, hey, listen, if you do this, then you get this. There's some manipulation and coercion going in there. It is what it is, right? It says coercion is the act of forcing someone to do something they don't want to do, often through threats or use of force.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I like that definition. I think in there also is ultimatums. I I think that falls in that category as well. And I
Okay.
give my children ultimatums at times. Listen, if you do this, then we can do this, you know. So that's one side of the coin.
So disciplinary actions call for coercive language at times. Probably because it's to emphasize the severity of the situation, maybe. And then I guess, is it to express that, all right, hey, we got to hurry up, and also this is severe? Is that what that is?
So the second side of the coin, because that's the intent, right? That's right. But the reality of it is, it's easier to rule with fear than it is with love.
It's easier.
Oh.
It's easier to rule
Easier
with
to
fear
rule with fear than it is with love.
Ooh.
Like us spanking our kids, that's a generational curse. That's how they
Right.
ruled us back in the. It's easier to do that than it is to slow down and say, baby, you can't do that. You can't run in the street. I know a car didn't come that time, but you can't run in the street. It's a lot harder to do that. It's a lot harder to be patient when your kids are losing their mind instead of just yelling at them, right? So it's two sides of the
Right.
coin, and it's very difficult to play both sides, but we do it all the time, you know? Sometimes we get fed up to the point where it's like, you need to do this or what, you know, we go ham, but it's easier to rule with fear than it is to rule with love. That's why we have coercive language with our children, with our, you know, it is what it is.
All right, so the main one there, disciplinary action, is a good application for coercive language. Any others that y'all can think of, King?
Intimidation.
Okay, but why do we want to
Ever been in a
intimidate?
situation? Oh, well, sometimes, like you just said earlier, if you make a shift in your voice, right, get a little deeper, get a little raspy, you tend to swell up a little bit, start to move a particular way, and then your verbiage, you let somebody know, look, I give you one more time, and I'm gonna take your face and I'm gonna clean everything in here with it. You know
We got a
what I'm saying?
caller.
Oh, go for it.
Okay, go ahead and introduce yourself, Amina.
Peace and blessings, family. It's Amina.
Yo, what you got for us?
Peace, Queen.
Okay, so I'm listening in, and it is so good to be back with y'all. I haven't been able to tune in for a while.
Yeah.
I love this topic. So, as far as coercion goes, I just caught what the young brother was saying. He was saying, like, it's easier, the idea that it's easier to rule with fear than it is love. And I want to challenge it, and I understand the notion of what he's saying. I think it's easier for our egos to rule with fear than love. It's easier for us to do it in the sense of timing. It's easier to have, quote unquote, a delay, to have an immediate sense of gratification in the moment of ruling with fear and coercion and using threats, as opposed to taking the time and getting the delayed gratification of explaining things. And because everything is actually comes down, anything that we're trying to teach or enable learning from one person to another and facilitate learning, it all comes down to coercion, because coercion by itself is just basically persuasion, right? So we're trying to impart information, an idea, incept that in someone's brain, and do it in a way where we can get the quote-unquote least amount of resistance. So that's where the element of coercion comes in. Is we want to be able to share the information, instill the idea with the least amount of resistance, because when people are more so aware that you're trying to give them something that they may not already be ready and primed to receive, then that's when we get a little bit of resistance, and then we get the knuckiness they book, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, I would say that it really doesn't matter what the person who is using coercion intent is for real, whether it's them operating out of a place of fear or love. I just know that either way it goes, it falls into a realm of coercion. They're using their influence to try to persuade us one way or the other. But I think the challenge is, if the person is patient, they're a little bit more tactful with the way that they persuade, and they're willing to not have to use the threat, where they can kind of be a little bit sweet and use the honey instead of the vinegar.
Okay.
And for me, when it comes to parenting, that's something that I'm definitely working on. Even working with adults and co-workers and things of that nature. Like, really and truly, when you align yourself with people in a way where you can meet them where they are, and you start to study people, you don't have to be as aggressive. You can persuade people and use your influence in a way where they'll be more receptive because you study them. You know how to more so easily maneuver with them till the way that you move becomes the flow that they start to move in as well. Especially when you're trying to get them to shift a direction, you start to change the tide for them where they're not even fully aware that the tide is changing just yet. And if you're good at studying people, then you're able to influence people, and you're able to do it in a way very subtly where people don't even understand the full extent of the influence that you have, and then you can kind of manipulate people. And that's still a form of coercion. It's still persuasion. Because if a person isn't outright choosing to do that on their free will and volition, if it came from a little subtle bit of a hint towards something from you, it's coercion.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I wanted to share.
Okay. But is coercion inherently bad?
Oh no.
Okay.
I would not dare make it be a thing. It's just it is a thing.
Okay.
It's
Yeah, that's fair.
As the person who's as good or as bad as the person who's doing it or who's receiving it. I think the people who want to look at it in a negative way, if they're on the receiving end of it, it's because they don't want to take responsibility for their own autonomy.
Okay.
But whenever we're coerced into something and it was something that we were already leaning towards, then we're happy to say that somebody influenced us towards doing the positive thing, right? Then we'll label them as people like our mentors. We'll say, oh, our mentor, but then all they did was persuade you to do the thing that you were already looking to do, right? They became your motivation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But whenever people motivate us towards the thing that we claim we didn't want to do, if we don't want to take responsibility for our own autonomy and our free will, then we'll try to make it seem like they coerced me. It's a bad thing. They influenced me. Oh man, they manipulated me. When in all actuality, they just did what they do.
All right. So what about when it?
Bad.
So what about when it comes to trying to motivate somebody to change their habits or their treatment or their attitudes towards you? So let's just say, for example, you're trying to establish a boundary and they're not, respecting it. So this kind of delves into the realm of conflict resolution, right? But you're employing coercive language to convey that, hey, I'm serious about this. If you fuck with me, I'm fucking you up. Right? So I'm putting the boundary out there and I'm trying to influence you to reconsider your behaviors towards me. I'm trying to influence you, persuade you, inform you, hey, if you keep going, here comes the punch, the kick.
It's the consequence, yeah.
Right? So
I don't think that's wrong.
Okay. So coercion can be useful.
Actually, I feel it is very useful, and all that is a matter of protection, of the self-preservation protection, and it's also you prompting this other person to also practice self-preservation, because guess what, if you you look around, the more you're going to find out. So if you love you need to also love your ability to honor my willingness to love myself and hold this boundary, because if you choose to not adhere to honoring me the way that I set forth precedents for you to honor me, then you deserve to get whatever the natural consequence of that is, which is going to be me trying to the best of my capability to inflict harm on you, because when I tried to deal with you in kindness, you wouldn't operate within the proper boundaries. So now that you've trespassed that, you get whatever comes with that now.
Right.
So
you can kind of attest to the idea that motivating somebody to, I guess, terminate a particular area, motivating somebody can sometimes be a hit or miss if maybe you don't have their trust. It could be just, hey, I don't trust you, so I don't care what you say. There's nothing you can say to influence my decisions. I'm going to keep rocking on. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. So you could agree that sometimes motivating somebody in those contexts, it's just not going to work.
Oh, definitely. Because at the end of the day, a person's full ability to be motivated is an intrinsic thing. So then that comes down to like discipline. Discipline is a person's ability to be intrinsically motivated towards a particular goal or outcome. And if a person doesn't have it within themselves to be motivated for that particular thing, no matter what stimuli we use to encourage, like it's not going to click for them. So, and that's okay. It's perfectly okay for me. I'm willing to hold my boundaries. I'm willing to say what the potential consequences are. I'm willing to try to use coercive language, whether that's more positively motivation or more negatives and threats, saying, hey, you know, these are the potential hurtful, painful consequences. But if that person is literally too slow to comprehend it, it doesn't click, and they don't have the capacity. I said this earlier in conversation with somebody, but I can't recapacitate them. Like, I can't give them a different capacity. Like, I just can't. So I have to deal with people based upon their capacity, and they can only ever adhere to whatever priming I'm trying to give based upon what they really have the capacity for. I'm willing to use the language, but if they don't understand and they don't comprehend, it is what it is.
All right. So in a way, I guess we need to learn how to do both. We need to learn when and how to use coercive language or coercion, and when and how to use motivational interviewing, or just how to motivate somebody.
Or also manipulate.
Okay.
Right. I definitely agree. And it still goes back to your motives. I think what happens is when you have more pure motives, you find yourself challenging yourself to reach people in multiple ways, or how I like to say, by many means necessary, right? Not just by any old means, but by many means. Like, okay, well, I tried that. I tried the positive reinforcement and the encouragement. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, I've tried a little bit of fear. That didn't work. Okay, I'm letting this person know. Or like the example of the child running out into the street. Like, okay, that's not necessarily working. So now I might have to actually punish you, because if I can't trust you to understand that you running into the street is potentially, you know, fatal and hazardous for you, well, then you don't get to have an opportunity to even run into the street. And now maybe with the whole withdrawing of the opportunity itself, after a while it will click. That might be the thing that gets you to thinking a little more. But we have to try multiple means. But that's only, people are willing to try multiple means when they have more pure motives. When you're in a space of wanting to try to force an outcome, and you don't particularly care for the person that you're trying to force an outcome with or on, that's when the coercion is going to be like, well, I'm trying fear and fear alone. Or I'll try a manipulated version of love. You know, I'll try love bombing. When in all actuality, it's like, that didn't come from a pure place. This is why that's the only one trick up your sleeve. Because you don't really care for this person. When you actually care for the person, then you're going to be particular about how you employ whatever method of coercion, which, like I said, is just a means of persuading them towards whatever you deem best for them.
Yeah. Okay. Man, we appreciate your comments this evening, Amina.
We really do. We was missing the female element in the room.
Absolutely. And I agree with a lot of what you said. You know, I think the biggest thing that we can take from all of this is knowing that you can choose to rule by fear, and you can choose to rule by love. Like, now you can consciously make that decision in your mind and say, am I ruling by fear or am I ruling by love? Like, gravity existed before we put a name around it. We put a name around it so we can identify it as such. Now you can identify, am I ruling by love or am I ruling by fear? Before we put a name around it, you was just ruling and you didn't have a structure. But you like structure. I like structure too. I like systems. You know, so I agree with a lot of what she said for sure.
All right. Well, hey, Amina, we thank you for calling in, sharing your thoughts. You had some wind to you, so yay, we appreciate all that energy.
Appreciate it.
Oh, wait. Oh, she already hung up. Oh, okay. Dang. All right. So
she hit it with a love bomb.
So this question right here was posted in the group, and let's see, true or false. So I'm going to read off the results of that. Again, audience members, if you want to participate in our polling, join the Facebook group, things that people don't want to talk about, right? So true or false, a sign of trauma is trying to manipulate difficult people to be good to us. Trying to manipulate difficult people to be good to us. Sign of trauma. So we had 7 votes that says true. We had 3 votes that says false. And we had 8 votes that says sometimes. So essentially, it seems like it's kind of conditional. It seems situational. What do you guys think?
You want to start off, King?
No, go ahead. I'm still fathoming. I'm turning some wheels up here. Go ahead.
Yeah. So just so everybody who's just listening in and can't read the screen, the statement is a sign of trauma is trying to manipulate difficult people to be good to us. Okay. The way that I feel about that is we all have our own scar tissue. Anybody who says that they don't have trauma, the thing is know thyself, right? And the way to know thyself is to get to know other people so you can kind of test yourself against other people. So I personally think we all have trauma, you know, but trying to manipulate difficult people to be good to us, I think that's a personal choice. I don't deal with with difficult people. I don't hire headaches. I don't keep it around me. Like my energy, I protect my energy at all costs. So I think that's more on an individual basis. But I do think that we all have trauma. So yes, of course you're gonna have some people that can try to manipulate difficult people to be good, but other people just like me, I don't care. Keep it moving.
Okay. All right. You want to tap on to that, King, or?
Well, I'm gonna throw myself on the chopping block, and I want to say that, yeah, I'm a victim of the trauma. I use trauma to quote unquote coerce, manipulate, and parent. The reason why I say this, a little phrase, it had passion behind it, had a little bit of sternness. I was like, hey, I didn't have a father, but I'm here for you. Why you doing me like this? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm victim. I'm victim. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm sorry. I just want to say it's not a good thing. I just want to add, I appreciate the show because even then when I used to, past tense, when I used to do it, I understood that I'm wrong. And the reason why I was wrong, for the simple fact, I can't push my trauma on him in an area that he will never be able to understand because he has his father. So that's something I need to work on myself at the time to understand that just because I didn't have mine, I got to make it be that I'm manipulating him to do right for having his father. That's almost like a jail sentence, you know? Why should I punish him because I'm here for him and my father was taken away from me at an early age? That's not fair, you know? So, yeah, I was totally wrong.
All right. I think, for one, this is a generalization. This question is a generalization. But, you know, it's just to see how people perceive it, right? I think that it can be true in some cases, not all, that individuals feel powerless as an attempt to gain a sense of superiority over others. But then, you know, some are motivated towards that and some aren't. But I like some of the conversation down here. I think in particular, no, that's the wrong one. I'm looking at the wrong one. So it can be. I think it just depends. But sign of trauma, because I've had trauma, right? But trying to manipulate somebody, and of course this is just my personal experience, I don't recall trying to manipulate someone who was difficult to be good to me. But however, that's also largely perceptual, because when I say difficult people, it's like, all right, well, what does that look like to you, John? Because difficult to you isn't the same as it is to King and Mike and my mom, right? So there could have been instances where I was trying to manipulate difficult people to be good to me, right? Unknowingly that I was trying to manipulate them. But I don't think all cases are like that. I mean, it could be traumatic. It could be traumatic, but it also could just be that, yo, I really need you to do this. This could be just self-interest. It doesn't have to be trauma-oriented. It could just be, hey, I want this done because this is gonna make my life better, or this is gonna make all of our lives better, you know? Let's throw in, because I know we're getting close to our time. Oh, here is a good one right here. So let's kind of hold in on the men for a minute. Are men obligated to regularly be in control? So I'm thinking about this from a cultural and historical perspective, right? As we're talking about controlling and motivating, right? I'm looking at the history. I'm even looking at Black men, right? And this cultural imperative that we be in control when it comes to our marriage and when it comes to our families, right? I could see it being kind of a box, kind of a prison, where it's like, yo, you have to be in control because the risks are so high and because of who you are. You're in a patriarchal system, and so men pretty much run this whole thing, and you're a Black man. And even though you don't run this whole thing, you run your family. You're the leader in your family. So you're supposed to be the one that's always in charge. You're supposed to be the one that's always in control. You're supposed to be the wisest. You're supposed to be resourceful, right? But with that control, there could, be some potential side effects, don't you think?
I personally think that men are obligated to regularly be the leader, not necessarily in control. Because as a good leader, you know how to relinquish control in certain situations. I don't feel like, in majority situations, am I in control? Sure. But there are other situations where I say, you need to take the wheel so I can take care of something else. You see what I'm saying? Do I feel like Black men have one of the hardest jobs on the planet? Yes. Because we have to walk in this skin, as well as scratch off every box while people are trying to consciously put us down, right? That's why I made the distinguish between being in control and being a leader, because sometimes, bro, we just need a helping hand. Sometimes I need you to take care of this to make sure that I can continue to do the thing that's most important right now. You see what I'm saying? So I think there's a difference between being a leader and being in control.
Ooh, there's a difference between being a leader and being in control. Okay. All right. And I also think about religion when it comes to this question too, because in a lot of cultures and a lot of religions, male authority is kind of like a centerpiece, right? And historically and culturally, religiously, males are given like this sort of moral responsibility to guide, and they're responsible for maintaining order and discipline within the family, right? And so what comes with that is controlling behaviors, because you're driving the ship and these individuals may not know what to do. And so just saying, all right, hey, well, you can do whatever you want. Like, you got to think also, we're always labeled protectors and providers, right? So with protection comes control. With protection comes control. You cannot protect something and not be in control of it. You cannot protect something and not be in control. Like, all right, if I'm trying to secure a perimeter, right? I'm boots on ground. I got my M16. I'm trying to secure this perimeter. I'm trying to protect these children. I'm trying to protect my family. I have to control the perimeter. I have to put up some barriers, and I have to be ready to intimidate, ready to assassinate, because this is valuable and it needs me in front of it to ensure that nothing, affects it, influences it, taints it, right? So that's what I mean by the sense of control. I think also, there's gender norms that are out there. I think, well, yeah, and then there's like the colonial influences too. Yeah, I think media and pop culture probably has some influence on this as well, because there's stereotypes. All right, there's this archetype of a man. He's assertive, he's strong, he's brave, courageous, and in control. Like you see these machismo images, right? And so yeah, that looks like control. So in that, let's cross over to, we're hitting our 1 hour mark, so we're going to be closing it out. How do we balance the line between being overprotective and controlling? We'll end off on this one. How do we balance this?
How do we balance the line between being overprotective and controlling? A lot of it goes to intent. A lot of it, not all of it, right? But a lot of it does have to do with intent. And then the second part of it is communication. There has to be some form of transparency and autonomy on both sides. Like, hey, this is what works and this is what doesn't work. And there has to be people that's willing to give a little bit, right? Relinquish some control, relinquish some power or whatever it is. But I think that the biggest way to deal with that is communication. And the communication might not be easy. Sometimes the communication is, why are you overprotective? And the communication might be, what do you consider to be overprotective? Because as you mentioned, as a man, there might be some scar tissue that causes us to watch or, control more than the average person. So it could be a very uncomfortable conversation, but I definitely think that there needs to be some communication there.
Okay. I think self-awareness is key with everything. It's the baseline of everything. Being aware of your thoughts, being aware of your motives, being aware of your behaviors, right? So knowing the difference between being overprotective and being controlling. All right, this is what it looks like when I'm overprotective, and this is what it looks like when I'm controlling. All right, when I exhibit these behaviors, I categorize them here and here, and then I say, I want more of this and less of this. So I need to be aware. I need to be mindful at all times. I need to be aware when I'm, raising my voice, or when I'm trying to restrict the autonomy of my kids. I need to be ever mindful. I'm trying to provide protection, but also freedom to my children or to my spouse, right? And that, I think that also has to be like a personal goal of yours in the first place, is recognizing that discrepancy and then desiring, hey, I like to be free. I like to do what I want to do within reasonable bounds. I'm sure my kids, my wife, my sister, my mom, I'm sure my coworkers will like the same. So what can I do to increase their autonomy, increase their sense of agency, but also let them know, hey, I'm gonna motivate you, but if you step outside of these bounds, I'm barking, right? So setting up those behaviors, and I guess implementing those protocols where you would execute them. Like, all right, under these circumstances, I'm going to be overprotective, and these circumstances, this is controlling. I need to step away from that. So I think the self-awareness is like the very key. And yeah, having that open communication, not being afraid to, have those real conversations with your kids, or having that real conversation with your spouse, right? I know as men, we have that tendency to try to control everything, because predictability means, all right, I know what's coming before it comes, so I can make adjustments or even reinforce this system or these strategies so that I do reach that, right? So recognizing that, hey, there are other objectives other than this one. It is very, very hard. I brought this topic up as an inspiration. Last week or a couple of weeks ago, I was in the shower just thinking about that. I reflect, like I was telling you on the phone, I've been looking at my parenting experience heavy. So that was the first step, is self-awareness. Just being able to look at myself and ask, how do I feel about that conversation that I had with my stepson? How do I feel about that conversation that I had with my son? Dang, I feel like I could have did better than that. I didn't have to yell, did I? I mean, shoot, the problem was very fixable. You know, it wasn't that, yeah, I think I did too much. All right, next time, I'm gonna pay attention, right? So I think self-awareness is key here.
But even with next time I'm gonna pay attention, it can also be this time I'm gonna apologize, because we need to raise young men that's not scared to apologize and don't just sweep it under the table and say, well, next time I'll do better. I caught myself apologizing to my son the other day. I put one of my kids' bike on top of the other kid's bike, and it knocked the chain off. Now, obviously, my intent was not to mess it up, but he was upset, you know. So I went to him, hey, look, man, I apologize. I broke the bike. But what am I teaching my son, right? Accountability, right? Kids don't do what you say, they do what you do. So they're going to just sweep it under the rug when they come across some friction where they were probably wrong or could have handled it better. So
yeah, so you showed him. You didn't just tell him, you showed him. And then even if he didn't catch it, like right there in that moment, even if he didn't catch it, you got that example. Like, hey, you remember that incident with the bike? You remember that? You remember what I said? Yeah, you could use that as a teachable moment. The evidence is right there. Yeah, I like that. I like that. All right, dang. It's unfortunate that we kind of lost King there towards the end. Here we are closing out. You got any final comments, bro, before we shut this down?
I'm just excited, man. I appreciate you guys' consistency. It's imperative. You never know who you're helping, which is the cool thing about it, you know. And you never know the amount of people that this will eventually reach. So just stay consistent. I appreciate the plug, and I appreciate you guys letting me come on here, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's always a privilege, and I'm glad that you're on our team. I am so glad you are on our team, bro.
Always, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, hey, folks, that is our show for tonight. Stay plugged in. We're going to come back next Tuesday with another hot topic. Go ahead and spread the word. This is things that people don't want to talk about. Brought to you by God Level. This is John Skywalker here. This is Mike Lee. Brother is not here right now, but that's okay. Also, God Level and Inattentive Ivy, you know, they just took a quick leave of absence, but they will be returning back with us next week. So, with all things said, we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.